Bane of my life. Life. Dirty job, someone's got to do it. Holy moly, it's Bane of my life. The most incisive insight into underground punk rock for people that have chucked far too much time at it. So, you may be thinking, wasn't this podcast called Rock Radio Bitch? And we're going to deal with this minor little change. Yeah, maybe at the end, but for now, let's just dive in. I had to wait a little while to get my pal Dave March on the podcast because he is busy living the dream, touring the world and being a soundman extraordinaire for big acts like the Menzingers and Bouncing Souls. After this little sit down, I'm going to have to begrudgingly accept that it's not all fluke either. So enjoy our musings, subscribe and share, and be pleased that you got on the Bane of My Life train before it got too big for the internet to contain. Cheers. Boom! Target audience. That's good. To hear that. So I've slipped record on, by the way, Dave. Do you know? I know you're not an idiot. You can probably tell like that. I'm trying to make it as natural as possible, but it doesn't really work. But as I said, pretty much the same to Monday. But it's incredulous to me that people won't know who Dave March is. But tell people a little bit about who Dave March is.
I like to say failed musician turned crew member. I was maybe the one in the band trying to push it a little bit too hard and wanting to be like, no, we need to, give up everything. Yeah. I want to live life on the road. Yeah. And just don't stop until I get it. Yeah. And then when it's not going your way, you get a little I don't know, frustrated, I guess. Yeah. And then you find a way to do it. Yeah. Not necessarily with the people you first intended to do it with, but you still do it.
You definitely found a way to do it. Important crew member, I'd say. Yeah. You can give yourself that. You're not sweeping up anymore, right? Because you started out driving, didn't you?
So driving was I had to drive because
to earn respect.
Well, no one can afford just the sound guy is the thing.
Right. Okay. Which probably should set the scene. Actually, you go around the world doing sound. Right? Yes. That's a fair enough thing. Where have you been last? Spot question.
2-week European tour.
Cool.
With Menzingers.
And where are you going next?
A 4-week American tour.
There we go.
With
That's
Menzingers.
Pretty cool.
Take
it in major cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Not buttfuck USA.
No. It still does occur.
Yeah. We've got to get to buttfuck USA.
Because there's a lot in the middle.
Yeah. There is. The Midwestern states.
Yeah.
Very good.
So if we go from, I guess we go from square one. Should we rewind to square one?
Square one. Where is square one? About 12.
Right, so my older sister, which was a big part of my musical taste.
I forgot you had a sister.
So she's 3 years older than me.
Okay.
So when I was kind of 14, being a little 14-year-old skater boy, not really listening to rap and stuff. Yeah. She was listening to Rancid because she was 17. Yeah. And way cooler. Yeah. And then through her and friends of friends met John and Blair, the other members of the Shuffle, and Craig. Yeah. Because Craig's actually, he's a big part of where I am today, I think, as well. So join the Shuffle. Yeah. As a
Monkey Shuffle.
Let's
get this straight, yeah.
I think I'm 15 at the time.
Yeah, you're pretty young, yeah.
Which was funny because I'm the baby of the Macclesfield scene.
The Macclesfield scene, yeah. The crew, yeah.
You've got the Creosotes and you've got the Kirkz and you've got the Monkey Shuffles. Yeah. And of the Monkey Shuffle, I am the baby.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So we're in the Shuffle. We're in the Monkey Shuffle.
They're in the Monkey Shuffle.
Right, so this is one. Craig goes to Manchester to start music college when he's 16.
This would be when he had hair.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a year below him. Yeah. And he's like, you should try out for this.
Right.
And come to Mancat.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was in Manchester.
Mancat.
Mancat.
Is that
Manchester.
the one that you missed? Not you missed. The fucking the silly
They've
building.
merged
The
now.
glass
I think.
building. The one that's the Museum of Football now. What was it called?
I don't
Urbis.
know. No, not that.
No, okay.
So Mancat was
I'll just delete that then. that 30 seconds.
It was Manchester College of Arts and Technology.
Okay.
I do a 2-year music course there.
Yeah.
At this time, trying to get Monkey Shuffle as big as they can be, take on the world, you know. Because at the same time, John and Blair are 3 years older than me, and they're doing SSR, School of Sound Recording.
Okay, I remember that.
So I'm in this 4-piece band,
Yeah.
and I've got all these peers I'm looking up to doing music courses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want a bit of that. That sounds mint. I'm like, what, you just go to college
Yeah.
and do music stuff?
Trying very hard shuffle here at this point. Yeah.
Very hard.
For the record, yeah.
At one point, 4 out of 4 of us are in Manchester,
Yeah.
all doing different music courses.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was like, that's not it. I went to uni,
Yeah.
did a whole uni course about it. At this
Did you?
time,
I was thinking on the way, because I had a good long walk, I was thinking like, I'm sure you never actually did any studying for it, and you just sort of chimped it, and now it's just blown that whole fucking thing out the hole. You went to you. Well, you should be good then.
so I did 2 years, but all of this time, I want to be a studio guy.
Yeah.
The whole time. Never even occurred to me that I'd be a
Yeah.
live engineer.
Yeah.
So yeah, did my whole music education thing, wanted to be a studio guy.
Yeah.
And then at some point in this whole thing, we had some friends called New Day's Enemy.
Yeah.
From Leicester.
Yeah.
New Day's Enemy, Shuffle did a bunch of stuff with them, and then at one point they kind of fizzled out and formed a new band,
Yeah.
All Idols 4.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're up to 2007, 2008 at
They
this
had
point.
some good slots, didn't they? Support Anti-Flag at one point?
Yeah.
I remember the burning.
So
you bastards!
they were one of these bands that I think they recorded 2 songs and then sent that off as a demo.
Yeah.
And
Someone was like, so hot right now.
it wasn't Moon Sky, it was
somewhat
Deck-
household.
Deck Cheese?
Deck Cheese. All right. Okay. I don't know. It's the sort of thing that sounds like it could have been a label of the time.
I
'cause
want
they
to
had
say
silly
Deck
names,
Cheese,
didn't
if
they?
that was a thing. And they just snapped it up and were
Yeah.
just like, this is like the UK comeback kid, finally.
Yeah.
So they straight away got this tour in January of 2008
Yeah.
with Will on Scream, Failsafe, and All Idols 4.
Nice.
And they, because we were friends with them,
Yeah.
were like, do you want to come and like roadie?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were like, alright, what's that mean? And it's just like, just come hang out. And if we need someone to be stood at the merch table, you stand at the merch table.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
need like help carrying in stuff or carrying stuff, just be a guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, alright, that sounds alright.
I got
Blair,
nothing
funnily
better-
enough.
Did he go as well?
I did the first 4 dates,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Couldn't commit to longer than that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I think Blair did the next 4 dates.
Yeah, that would have been pretty brutal.
And that was the one time where I was like, oh, you mean that I can have all the fun of being on tour, being at gigs, drinking, seeing people,
Yeah.
but not have to play. And I was just like, sold. And then one day in the van on those 4 days,
Yeah.
their guitarist Rob was like, oh, we've got this tour coming up with Anti-Flag.
Yeah.
He was like, I know you do studio stuff at uni, but have you ever thought about like doing like live stuff?
Yeah.
At the time, the only live stuff I'd ever done was like at the Queen's Hotel
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the function room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at the Swan, which was basically vocals and kick and...
It's difficult doing somewhere like the Queen's though, isn't it? Would have set you up well.
So then he says, do you reckon you could like, do live stuff? Because we've got this tour coming up
Yeah.
in a few months.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds alright. So after those 4 days where I was sold on like, we don't need to play to have fun on tour.
Yeah,
just...
yeah.
So I went back to uni and my whole music education, none of it was live.
Yeah.
Because live is just this unwieldingly beast of nonsense where it's just like, well, what do you mean? Do you mean a pub? Do you mean a stadium?
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't teach this.
Yeah.
So we started asking around, and then this guy, Joe Meekums, who was probably my age now, then.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm 21.
You're not 21 now.
No.
You're not
was-
getting away with that.
He was 20, I was 21 then, he was maybe early 30s.
Yeah.
And he was a technician in the studio
Right, okay.
at uni,
Yeah.
but he moonlighted
Yeah.
as a live engineer.
Okay.
So I was like, do you reckon I could come, like, you know, train up with you? And he's like, yeah, sound.
Yeah.
Not knowing that this is a really common thing, apparently, that you are a shadow.
Yeah.
So what you do is you basically follow around
Like
someone.
a tattooer's apprentice.
Exactly. You follow around someone that does the job.
Yeah, yeah.
For long enough, you don't get paid anything. You just follow around and absorb knowledge.
Yeah.
Until the point where they can be like, all right, cover my shift.
Yeah.
So we did like some mint stuff. Did Newfound Glory did a show at Club Academy 4 before their big show.
Yeah.
So I think they were playing like Academy 1 and they played like a little secret show at Academy 4 and this guy Joe was monitors for that.
What, same night?
No, so they did it like in the same week or something.
Okay.
So they did like an underplay gig.
Yeah.
And like doing monitors for that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the monitors, but I'm with the guy who's doing the monitors.
Yeah, yeah.
Yumi at 6, who went on to huge things. That was another gig where you like got to shadow.
Yeah.
And then after about 9 months, and he was the guy at the Witchwood.
Right, okay, yeah. Witchwood was pretty cool.
So I used to go out probably every 2 weeks or something and shadow a gig at the Witchwood.
Okay.
Which was quite strange because, you know, we'd both been there playing gigs.
Yeah, exactly. Were you guys playing at all at this point? Or
We were still playing.
Yeah.
We were still playing. I'm not sure. I think we were maybe working on our EP.
The Shark album.
Where basically I was trying to force the band to go even more kind of technical and fast.
Yeah, yeah.
So
had your finger on the pulse, didn't you?
I was playing bass at the time, writing guitar parts for Blair.
Yeah.
And it got to the point.
Yeah, we know how that worked out.
Well, it got to the point where it's just like, look, the bass line's getting simpler and simpler, the guitar part's getting harder and harder. You're writing all the guitar parts, you might as well just play guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, I'll have that.
Very courageous of you, Blair. Honourable.
Step down.
Yeah. Fall on your sword.
So this is like a 9-month period where I'm shadowing this guy, Joe, and after like 9 months, he's like, all right, I think you're ready. I've got a shift on Friday. I can't do it. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
At the Witchwood. And that was like, all right, you've
Boom.
made it through the program.
Yeah.
And by this point, All Idols Fall have basically split up.
So it really was like burn bright and not fade away. Burn out and not fade away. How long were they about for?
Maybe a year. I feel like they had some member switches and then tried to figure it out and then didn't really figure it out. Tried to come back but didn't really catch on the same way they did in the first place.
Yeah.
But what it comes down to is that was the band that the main reason I was like, I want to be a live engineer because this band say I can knock around with them doing their live sound and never did sound like this well. where Marios.
Yes. Yeah.
Another big name on the scene. If you don't know who Marios is.
I remember Marios. Did you shadow Marios for a bit?
No.
No?
So
you actually worked with him?
I was...
At least when fucking Marios says you can cover my shift, they would have actually thought it was Marios. that would have worked out quite well at that point.
When I was wasted in Jilly's one night and I saw Marios,
Yeah.
and I was very excited to tell him that we changed the name from Monkey Shuffle to The Shuffle.
That's because he was a fearsome character.
Yeah.
Because what was his thing? Say it to my face. Was it? Was that?
Say It To My Face was his old promotions thing.
We used to try and get gigs off him all the
Yeah.
time. You know what it's like when you're trying to get gigs off someone. You're always trying to fucking, oh, it's Marios.
Yeah.
Fucking have a word
Well, that's
with
what I
him.
was like.
Yeah.
And then
We're cool now, Marios.
and then I see him the one gig, and he's like, I'm trying to pester him, and he's like, I'm packing it all in.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you on about? He's just like, I'm just going to do sound. Little did it ever occur to me that when he put gigs on, he did the sound for those gigs.
Okay, yeah.
So, and he was basically dropping the promotion side of it,
and
just going to do the sound part of it. And I was like, oh, well, I've just done my first shift at the Witchwood, and I'm a fully fledged live engineer now.
Fucking man.
And then, basically I was in his crew then.
Okay.
He was just like, well, I need people.
For GSS.
For GSS.
Yeah.
And then...
What did GSS stand for, Dave?
Gash Sound System.
Who came up with that idea?
So...
was that something to do with the legendary Gash Collective?
Gash Collective.
Gash Collective.
Which I also found myself in that crew as well.
Did you? You were part of the Gash Collective.
Which was ace.
Was it?
Yeah, which was ace.
Well, what did the Gash Collective used to get up to?
Well, that whole scene was kind of like the rave culture, the underground kind of side of it. Yeah. Which was mad. Was involved in not many of them. Yeah. It was kind of like the tail end of them before everyone was like, this is going to be out of hand now.
What, actual raves?
Actual raves. Yeah. With thousands of people.
Whereabouts?
Like outskirts of Manchester.
Right, okay.
Mad.
Like fields and shit.
Yeah, basically. Drive somewhere, put up some speakers and find a network of people to tell about it.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Hope it doesn't rain. Yeah. And then a lot of people come.
Fair enough.
A lot of people. The whole idea was, so you want to get enough people there that before the police come, that if the police come, they can't say shut it down because that's then not the safest thing to do. Yeah. The safest thing to do is to just let it run its course.
Right, okay.
So if you can negotiate with the police and say...
Yeah. You don't want all these pissed people...
You don't want all these pissed people, just wandering off into the darkness. Why don't you just let us have a fun? Yeah. And then we'll leave everything untouched and,
That's it. Yeah, that seems to make sense. Were you there when the police came ever? Like, yeah. So did they come to? Because it was going to be pretty hard to miss, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they must come virtually every time, right?
I think so. Yeah. But sometimes, like we did one in Leeds and it got shut down immediately because the police got there before.
Were they not just going on the internet and typing in raves this weekend?
I forget
Was it a bit cleverer than that?
It's a bit cleverer than that. It's like
Gash had them outsmarted.
Yeah. For the most part, but but sometimes they would just come immediately and shut it down before there's so many people, and then by the time all these people turn up, there's just like, oh, party's over, sorry guys.
Are you in trouble for trying?
Yeah.
So like, when they come and shut it down, are they like just like, soz guys, or
no, they're definitely
take you away?
Yeah.
Right.
Someone got charged, but the thing is like there's a lot of like passing the blame, I guess, so they're very hard to pin someone with something.
Right. Okay.
And I think at one time all they could pin someone for was stealing electricity, because that was the only thing they would like. Yeah. No, we've seen the meter and that's not your electricity. Yeah. But you can't,
Yeah. That's cool.
So that was interesting. So parallel to all this, we've met this band from Lincoln through New Day's Enemy called MCD. Some members of them go to join Living Daylights. Mm-hmm. Living Daylights are another one of these bands that do a lot very fast.
Right, okay.
When, like, a band... Say if you were to start a new band, you'd know where to go and where not to go. Yeah. And you could have that up and running pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you'd have some existing contacts.
Exactly.
Go on, give us a slot and get like a low level one. Yeah.
So it was like that, and then... So they're going to Europe.
Right, okay.
And they're like... I was like, oh. engineering at the moment. Like, live. And they're like, oh yeah. And we're like, we've got space in the van in Europe if you want to come. And they had this guy, Jonesy, who went off to do a lot of Sea Shepherd stuff. He he was doing the UK bit of the tour.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh yeah, he's not coming to Europe, so you've got space in the van if you want it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, sound. And that was my first tour, late 2008, as a crew member.
Yeah.
Going on a tour as a live engineer.
Yeah. You weren't doing any driving then, you were just
I was pitching in with the driving.
Right, okay.
Pitching in with the driving. And then that was like the beginning of the end, basically.
The beginning of the end.
So I'm finishing up my final year in uni.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm checked into this live engineering, and I'm checked into this touring, and I'm just like, fuck uni.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll finish it, I'll see it through, but
Yeah.
I handed in...
You know where it's going now.
Handed in all my final stuff.
What did you have to do? Like, did you have to record a track or something as a exam? How the fuck does that work?
My final year was live at the Swan.
Oh,
so that was a project for me.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Well, why the fuck did you put our song on it then? Because we were fucking hammered when you recorded that.
Because it was all just like, you could have done anything as long as you followed the criteria of the assignment.
Right, okay.
And I was like, well, that'd be kind of fun, and it'd help out the Swan, it'd help out some bands.
So
and
you got extra points for that because it would have been unintelligible.
So I did that, but I handed in, and then I recorded, did a bunch of studio work.
Right.
And that was like my final everything, which I handed in 2 weeks early because Living Daylight's going on tour again. And on the day I should have been handing it in, I was in Barcelona.
Yeah. They must have been fucking stunned.
Yeah. And I was just like, so looking back of uni, I'm glad that I did it only because it gave me time to think about what I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the direct correlation between uni and now is non-existent.
Yeah.
There's nothing I learned in
you don't
university.
apply anything like. Would you like for an absolute crack, like if someone wanted to record a studio track, would you feel like capable of doing it?
So I do still dabble.
Yeah.
I mixed an EP for a dub band.
Okay.
A 10-piece dub band called Extra Love.
Okay.
Which was, I think, 6 tracks and 27 minutes. Recorded leagues apart.
Yeah.
Their album.
Sorry. Like when we released Agriculture in 2010, the TNS did a flyer that was one side Agriculture and then a double-sided flyer. The other side was Leagues Apart album.
So I think that was their...
Something.
That wasn't the white one, was it?
It was... I can't remember what it was called, but it was an illustration for a front cover.
Yeah. That was like their EP.
Right, okay. Was it called To Anywhere?
Yeah.
Was it?
Was.
Fucking nice one.
See, I still dabble in studio stuff, and I would like to go back to it, I think, as like a side gig now.
Yeah.
Now appreciating everything from the live stuff.
Yeah.
Because the live stuff is very, you get what you're given.
Yeah.
You're just turning up. The main problem I had with studio stuff is, and Shuffle definitely suffered with this, is I was one of those engineers that would just mix it to death.
Right, okay.
And it's like, I was putting together mixes that's like, this is the 15th mix of this song. And by the 15th mix of that song, you have zero perspective.
Yeah, of course not, yeah.
And you're just mixing it worse and worse and worse and worse. And you're like, actually, take 3 was probably better.
Yeah.
But I just had no perspective. But I think maybe...
You also had a lot of time on your hands and the sounds of it as well, yeah.
But I guess maybe I've learned from that, and I could go back and because if you look at these, like the big guys, they're mixing tracks in one take.
Yeah,
they're putting it through a huge analog board.
Yeah,
and they're mixing it like one go.
Right. Okay.
And then that's the mix.
Yeah,
I push that up and it comes down, and I push that up and it comes down, and that's the mix.
And then what? To apply that across all the tracks, almost.
No, and then they're going through the tracks and just kind of feeling out the tracks.
Right.
But they're so confident in their movements that they're not doing 15 takes.
Yeah. They're just kind of like, this sounds right.
They're like, that's the mix.
Got you. Right.
So I would like to dabble back into it. But the thing with live is it's like, once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
You can get mad about it, and I do occasionally when I want it to be better.
Yeah.
I set crazy high standards for myself. And when I don't achieve that, occasionally, more so in the past than now, I'd get mad about it.
But I mean, this isn't necessarily an observation of you, but because is it not something that after 2 songs, if there's a problem, you can just not fix it, unless there's something fucking bizarre about the acoustics or the equipment's gone. Yeah, it always blows my mind when you hear something with slightly shit sound, and you're like, everyone can hear this. I'm sure you can hear this, except the difference is you know what you're doing. Allegedly, you can fix it like that, and I know you do know what you're doing. So it's like, surely you don't have to get mad about a whole gig. You might lose a a song.
You could like have gigs where for the entire gig you're chasing a problem.
Right.
And you just can't figure it out. And that might be in no control, or it might not be in control.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Right.
Like
a ringy snare or something.
You could have a ringy snare, you could just have a singer being flat, but like one of the things I did realise later is that a good band
yeah.
will sound good in a very shit scenario.
Okay.
A shit band
yeah.
in a very bad, like, they're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
Even in the most pristine cases.
This is a fucking lesson for life, this is.
So this whole, like, me and Francis Hunt of Stand Out Riot, Leagues Apart, is now Front Bottom's crew.
Yeah.
We talk about this extensively.
One of your rivals, isn't he?
No.
Does it not work like that?
He's like brothers in arms.
Okay.
So it would be like...
Yeah.
The reason the vocal sits on top of the mix
is
because
it's a song.
It's
not
written
a piece of music
to sit on top of the mix.
Yeah.
AC/DC, for instance.
Yeah.
The reason the vocal soars above it is because it's written.
Yeah.
And like people don't get that when they're in the practice rooms or whatever and they're all playing on top of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, why doesn't that part stand out? Why doesn't that part stand out? It's because it's not written to give space in the composition of that song.
Yeah.
And it will never sound like it's going to stand out clearly. Yeah. And I see that more and more, especially with Menzingers, that the newer songs are a lot easier to mix in a live scenario.
Yeah.
And the older songs are a lot harder to mix in a live scenario.
Okay.
And you can put that down to the space in the mix. That they're not playing on top of each other. They're not...
Okay. Well, I only heard some old Menzingers for the first time the other day. This Spotify playlist popped up. It's called This Is the Menzingers. Yeah. So I've come in very late with Rented World and then the new one. Mm-hmm. And then I know... I've seen them a few times, so I know the I will fuck this up. That one. But I didn't realise that they had a bit of spunk about them, didn't they, when they were younger? Definitely. So, but that kind of lends a bit of weight to what you're saying, because there's almost going to be a bit more kind of going on in a, not thrashy, that's the wrong word, but it's a bit more
rough around the edges.
Things are falling over each other more, as opposed to more sort of written. Well, just quality of writing, I suppose.
Exactly, that's what it is. And that transfers through the studio sound, it transfers through the live sound. Yeah. And all this frustration that I had when I was younger about not getting things to sound the way I wanted them. Yeah. Now looking back, maybe that wasn't a sound technical thing. It was a composition. Yeah. It's just like, as you said, falling over each other. Yeah. And if it's written to fall over each other, it will sound like that no matter what.
Yeah, yeah, I take your point, yeah.
So that was really interesting.
It got me thinking.
Interesting.
Our old stuff like that,
definitely.
I wonder if it's shit. Yeah.
And a good song will sound good, regardless of so many variables.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if it's got a strong sort of vocal melody, then it's got a chance anyway, even if the instrument sounds shit, doesn't it, really? So that's cool. So you mentioned Francis a second ago. You were in Stand Out Riot a bit, weren't you?
So...
at least a year or so, weren't you? You were in a few bands, weren't you?
Yeah. So, I don't know if I think I've grown out of the workaholic side of me now.
Okay.
But there were definitely a few years where I was the yes man.
Right.
And I'd say yes to fucking anything. And would be like, I think Francis was like, do you want to fill in?
Yeah.
For this, week-long tour. Yeah. And then I did that. And then Francis is good at getting people to do stuff for him. And they just kept on coming. Yeah. And it was nothing, and it was always, it could kind of work because at the same time, I was in Chief.
Yeah.
I was in Chief.
That's the other bit, yeah.
He was in Stand Out Riot. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, what happens is he joins Chief. And then here's the other thing, is that Francis has now graduated uni a year behind me on the exact same path that I was doing.
Exactly, rivals,
is now working with me.
Right.
So we are working together with Marios at GSS. Yeah. We're playing in Stand Out Riot together, and we're playing in Chief together.
You three were Chief Gashes.
And he knew my schedule, and he was just like, you can do that. And it was
You've got nothing outside of this, David.
Exactly. And it was like Monday Chief practice, Tuesday Stand Out Riot practice, Wednesday Chief practice, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, working with Marios on like the weekend gigs.
So Chief practice twice a week?
At one point we did, yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay. Good for them.
So yeah, that's my love affair with Francis Hunt.
don't know. That's taken me aback, that twice a week. Don't get me wrong, you'd be fucking sharp as fuck, but, like, hey, you're talking to the kings of longevity here. And, like, something like twice a week is not sustainable.
As it clearly panned out, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think I was in Chief for maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then, for instance, the shuffle I'm trying to do at the moment.
Yeah.
The shuffle, we never split up.
Oh, come off it.
We never
You
split
were
up.
dead as a dodo.
But we always kept the ball rolling.
We chucked
Very-
you off on our special list.
Very slightly.
You were on our kill list.
But so the new thing now is that there's just no commitment to it.
Okay.
It's just like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
So there is it never gets to this point of I can't commit to this.
Yeah.
Which seems to happen in so many bands.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, well, why don't we just not commit to anything?
Yeah.
And then, you're not going to lose any members, hopefully.
Yeah.
Was in Shuffle, Chief, and Stand Up Riot for a
Jesus
bit.
Christ. See, what I'm getting at is, I remember you almost sort of formally, or someone telling me, and I'm sure it was you saying, nah, I've given up playing live now. Like, you'd totally fallen out of love with it.
Yeah.
And you when you said earlier, like, you realise that, wait a second, I can do all the fun stuff without having to play. I can sort of get it now when you put it against that schedule, because that's a bit fucking much.
There's a lot of chase, I think. A lot of chase for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to find something to kind of fill this void of like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm searching for.
Yeah.
But I'm searching for this thing. And I was trying to, find it in all these different places.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's only the past few years that I've kind of like slowed down a bit, I think, and actually found
a rhythm.
Found a rhythm and kind of like fall into like the Menzingers camp.
Yeah.
And that's got to a point where it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, that is filling. I mean, to be honest, that's beyond all my wildest dreams.
Yeah, big time. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go for a quick piss.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink the last of Mr. Menzingers beers.
As I step out under the dark grey skies, the ground beneath me sings, run away with me. There's a real nice lake by my parents' house, with our names carved into the trees. We'll let the wind blow dry our skin, are you with me? What's the explanation for our lives got fucking boring? Did you laugh? Did you cry? Did you sing each other to sleep? So let's bring some excitement into this life. The breakfast so inviting in this light. That's where I'll rest my head through the night. There's a real nice lake by my parents' house, with our necks carved into the trees. We'll let the wind blow dry our skin, are you with me? There's a real nice lake by my parents' house, with our necks carved into the trees. We'll let the wind blow dry our skin. We'll let the wind blow dry our skin. We'll let the wind blow dry our skin, are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? Yeah! Are you with me?
Interjecting that story a little bit, so you're just touching upon Menzingers, who you do sound for now.
Yeah.
Pretty much exclusively, right, is it?
Them, and my side gig now is Bouncing Souls.
Alright, because this house, by the way, Dave's house, is absolutely chock-a-block with tour posters, like, like the quality ones.
It's
like
all the screen prints.
Yeah, the high quality ones, and I must admit, it's me just Menzingers, but I've spotted 2 Bouncing Souls ones so far.
So this one is, I was with Lutheran Cheap Girls,
Okay.
supporting Bouncing Souls.
Yeah.
So just doing what I do and kind of the bands that I've been around with, I've done quite a few support tours for Bouncing Souls.
Yeah.
Bouncing Souls, like idols in my head.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where 2016 they lost one of their techs.
Okay.
One of their techs basically retired from the touring circuit.
Yeah.
Kind of settled down a bit, and they said, do you wanna? We've got this 10-day thing in the UK.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 2 vans, and you can drive and be stage tech.
Yeah.
They've already got their own sound guy, who I've learnt a lot from actually, and I was like, yeah, sound. And then that's been a side gig for the past 2 years now.
Cool. The Menzingers, do they sort of exclusively use you? Are you their go-to guy?
I do, well, funnily enough, I reckon I do 90 to 95% of it.
Cool.
Whereas this past weekend,
yeah.
Another engineer, Philadelphia-based Andy,
yeah.
is the number 2 basically.
Okay. Just remember that, Andy. You'll always be number 2.
He knows. We've talked about it because we've both known them so long that before we were ever anything as a crew member.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about it, and I think what he said was, it was just you made this position.
Yeah.
Because you were there before they needed a sound guy.
Yeah.
Which is basically how I got in there in the first place. So, if we're going down this Menzingers route...
I suppose we're going to have to cover it at some point. It is what you do with your life.
So, 2010...
Yeah.
And Kieran Kelly's a big part of this as well.
Okay. Because it was his gig on Friday, wasn't it?
His gig on Friday.
Yeah.
They basically come over for a European tour, which Kieran kind of puts together. There's a booking agent involved, but the booking agent stuff kind of falls through a bit. Kieran basically picks it up and rescues the day with the UK punk scene.
Yeah.
And Kieran's, to the best of my knowledge, the one who basically said, you guys need to come over. They were no one knows us over there.
Yeah.
And he was like, I've got a mate with a van.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's you.
With the shuffle van.
Okay, yeah.
Whopper.
Whopper, yeah.
And then I've got a band that you can tour with and use all their gear, which is leagues apart.
Okay, gotcha.
This is 2010.
Yeah.
Menzingers are playing Tiger Lounge in Manchester.
Yeah.
To put it all in perspective, the biggest gig of that was All Blue Last in London, I think, was the Saturday night end of that tour.
Yeah.
And didn't even do sound for them on that tour because it was just they weren't playing in places big enough to have sound.
Yeah, it's just
it's vocals and even when it was PA. And at the time, I'm working at Moho Live with Marios, and I think it kind of weirdly played off in my favour because they were like, "Oh, how big's the venue you work at?" And I was like, "Oh, 700 cap." And they were like, "What kind of bands you get through?" It's I got sick of it all the other day.
Yeah,
painted black. Then the other day I did front of house for the Sugar Hill Gang, and they're like, "Right, okay, so you must be big shit, okay." And then the next time they came over, they did Reading and Leeds, and I didn't mix. I didn't mix Reading or Leeds.
Yeah.
Me and Francis were coming off the back of a Chief tour.
Yeah.
But then we did a Star and Garter gig, and I did sound then.
Yeah.
And then I think that was the first time they'd ever had a sound engineer.
Has it been in Leeds since?
Yeah.
Because they played it since. Yeah.
So that was 2011. They did Reading and Leeds the first time.
Fucking hell, Dave. Because we used to go to fucking Leeds, didn't we?
Well, that was...
And now you're doing sound at it. Fuck me.
So 99.
Yeah.
I went. You see the kids with the whole family is at the festival.
Yeah.
99. That was me.
You and Pistol.
I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Watching.
My first fucking Leeds was 2000.
99. It was Silverchair on the main stage. TerraVision on the main stage.
Oh, now we're talking. Yeah.
The lockup was the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
The Warped Tour came over as the Warped Tour, which was wild. And then I think I attended Leeds all the way up until 2005.
Yeah, big shot. L5 was my last one as well. Yeah.
One of my favourite bands still now is Thrice.
Yeah.
Which Colin was he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go watch this band," because I looked up to all of you in this
Of course. Yeah. Any more of that you want to add? Yeah, that's fine.
And then remember them coming on, just being like, "What is this music?" Because I was just clouded by thinking everything sounded like Rancid. They came out.
Was the song, moment.
came out and said, not once, not twice, but thrice.
And we all started throwing things, I hope.
Which is, it sounds lame at the time.
Yeah, it is lame.
But now, so for instance, like full circle, Andy, who was covering for me with Menzingers gigs last weekend, does monitors for thrice now. And it's all...
Fucking hell.
It's all
crazy stuff
circle.
like that. So, anyhow, sorry,
go
a massive tangent. I don't know, you were telling me, you just done this tour for them and...
all right, yeah.
You were telling them that you were hot shit.
Yeah, so it kind of... I basically
What's this tattoo, sorry, on your leg? I'm not seeing this. Oh, fucking hell, what the hell is this?
So that is Sir Captain Webb.
Right.
Who is the first man to swim the channel.
Right, okay, what a legend, yep.
Who is my relation, basically.
Is he?
I think he's like a great granddad.
Okay.
Because obviously people lived a lot shorter then.
Yep.
So he's first man to swim the channel.
Go on, Captain Webb. Sir Captain Webb.
Sir Captain Webb.
He was knighted.
Yeah.
What a legend.
First man to swim the channel in like the late 1800s.
Yep.
This is done by an Italian... The drawing was done by an Italian illustrator who used to do all the things for Vanity Fair.
Right.
And then... he died trying to do... Because basically after he did it, everyone fucking did it. So 2 years later, someone else did it. Another year later, a woman did it. Another year later, they're just doing it like whatever.
Doing it like rabbits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he did and it's the same time that everyone's trying to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
Oh, the fucking insane bastard.
So he tried to do it, no barrel. And that was the end of him.
Right. Well, yeah, that's fine. That I might get a Sir Captain Webb tattoo after hearing that, to be honest. That's world class.
Also, don't know how true it is, but he was on a box of matches.
Yeah.
And a like illustration of that was on a box of matches, and that illustration was meant to be the inspiration for Inspector Clouseau.
Okay. How have we found all this out?
Just like Wikipedia. That's like, if you type him in, that's the Wikipedia.
Right. Oh, trust me, I'll be typing him in later. Big time.
So yeah. He comes up on like a pub quiz every so often.
Does he?
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
First man to swim the channel.
Hope you jump on the table. Look at my leg! Fantastic. Well, that was a decent interlude. That was more entertaining than I had any right to be honest. Yeah, so you did this for the Menzingers, and then they've obviously decided that your guy knows what he's talking about.
I think it was more just like they had nowhere else to go, and I was a guy that could get stuff done. It was like that. Yeah. It was just like, you had a van. And I was like, well, I don't have that van anymore. I was like, well, you got a new van. I was like, yeah, I've got a new van. And then like, do you have like equipment? Yeah. And I'd be like, well, I could just steal all the Shuffles equipment. Yeah. I own 1/4 of it. Yeah. So I think...
And they weren't using it at the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like Grows Rock 2012, I think. Yeah. That backline that they're using on the main stage is 100% the Shuffles.
What, even the kit?
Yeah, everything.
No way!
Because I'd be like the guys, can I borrow this?
Surely they were like, what the fuck is this shit?
And then slowly but surely over the years, I've replaced, like, I used to borrow 100% of gear to go on tour with, and then it became like 50, and then now I tour with all my own gear.
Right. Well, what do you have to provide? They provide, they'll have their own amps, right?
No,
No way, I did not know that. I would have thought, like, I don't know. I don't play guitar. I thought guitarists were precious about this kind of shit.
But not overseas.
Right, okay.
Which has been great because they've been like my number one gig for, I'd say, the past 6 years.
Right, okay.
That I've been able to tailor the equipment I own to kind of reflect what they have in the States.
Gotcha.
So if you compare like seeing them in here and seeing them in Europe, it kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar stuff.
Yeah.
It's what they feel comfortable with, and it's kind of a little bit of like job security for me. Yeah. And it's also good to write off as much as I can. Yeah. Tax wise. Yeah. Which is perfect.
Oh, that's quality. Right, but you've done shit for a lot of other cool people though, didn't you? Work with Frank Turner for a while.
So never directly. A big thing. Okay. So a big thing in my field of work. Yes. Shall we say? Yeah. Is that people claim a lot more than they can actually claim. Okay. So I can say I've now toured. I've spent 8 weeks on the road with Frank Turner.
Yes.
That means, though, I've been employed by support bands that have been on Frank Turner tours.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is what you can...
Yeah.
There was this thing called Crew Space for a while.
Right.
When the whole social media thing was boiling up. Someone thought it's going to be a great idea to make a crew-only...
Social media.
Which
Oh,
you
imagine
can
the
only...
fucking boring techie conversations
I know.
on that.
Which you can only get with invites as well.
Right, okay.
With invites from the platform.
Right.
But one thing I found really interesting on there, which I totally stand by, was they say, who have you worked with?
Okay.
Or who have you toured with? In brackets, directly.
Yes.
Because this is the big thing.
Yeah.
So have I worked with Frank Turner directly?
Yeah.
I have not been employed by Frank Turner.
Okay.
However, I have found myself on 2-month-long tours.
Okay.
With him and his crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely hanging out. Definitely hanging out. But when someone says, have you toured with them? You have to kind of be like, well, no. Because it would be like...
It would be dishonest. It would be like saying that you've been touring with Anti-Flag if you'd gone on that All Idols Fall tour with
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
When you can only really claim direct employment.
Yeah, it's like when we played Rebellion and like fucking, I don't know, Rancid were playing.
Of course.
Saying that we've supported Rancid. I'm sure some cunts do that. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's odd, isn't it? Yeah, it's bizarre.
But saying that, you can,
Yep.
at the same time, you can say you have shared a tour with, or you've been on support tours with.
Yeah.
Because that kind of shows the level that you're at, or
Yeah.
it shows the kind of, the experience you've had.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could be a terrible crew member and get some really big tours if you're the first of 5 bands.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's experience you can't really...
Yeah. So are you all like fucking good buds in the crew world?
I mean, there are these like crew stories that happen. So, for instance, Paramore a couple of years ago,
Okay.
their main stage Reading performance, their front of house console goes down.
Okay.
And they have to basically stop the show, and then they do like a little acoustic thing with like just a random BBC wireless mic going through the PA, so nothing's coming out.
Oh, right. So it's not like they lose sound, basically.
They lose sound,
right.
and the backup is a presenter mic.
Right.
So I think Hayley sits down.
Yeah, it does something for keep everyone
occupied. And then I think what ends up happening, as far as I know, is a BBC broadcast truck.
Yeah.
Who's doing like the live stream sound.
Yeah.
That gets ended up pumping out to like the PA, and that's what people are hearing. So like those stories get around. Yeah. Definitely. And like good engineers.
Oh, you know there's a question now. Have you ever had a fucking nightmare? You don't have to name names, but have you ever had like what's your biggest hole in the ground? Open up and swallow me now.
There's not a few. One is Vegas.
Okay.
So, this is 2 days before the Vegas shooting as well.
Right. Oh,
this is the Friday before the Sunday.
Yeah.
And basically, the audio system that a lot of people are using now, it's all run over digital. It's just digital cable.
Yeah.
Instead of like big analog, plug everything in at the same time, it's a single cable.
Okay.
A lot of systems will have like a redundancy system where it will be 2 cables.
Yeah.
But so we're Menzingers. This is another big thing that crew guys do is we'll say we're. Yeah. Meaning me and the band. Yeah. Because, you know.
Well, you got the posters all over
exactly.
the house.
You're there too.
You're in a video, aren't you?
Yeah,
in remission. In remission, you make a little appearance. People haven't seen Dave.
So we're running our sound over 1 cable.
Yeah.
And this cable is intermittently faulty.
Okay.
And throughout the set, there are, I want to say, 15 of these that just go like that.
Everything
and it just goes up. Oh. And sometimes there's even a little pop. Yeah. But this venue holds 10,000 people. Right. And the sound is just going out.
What's it called, the place?
This is the Vegas. Las Vegas Convention Center, I think.
Some sort of American enormo down.
It's basically a block. It's an outside, like, almost like a festival, but it's like an entire city block that's just flattened, and there's a stage at one end and there's a crowd at the other end. Cool. But yeah, about 15 times through the set, and you've got people turning around and just being like,
glaring at
dude, what the fuck? I'm like, we basically fixed it the next day by putting a new end on the cable. Yeah. But this festival tour we just did, there was a day where we had to switch the cable, so that was happening again. Yeah. In the middle of a festival. Oh, fuck's sake. And we had to switch the cable mid-set. Yeah, yeah. Which fixed it, and then there was another day where the sound, completely dropped out. It's too much much technology, basically.
Yeah.
It's relying on too much technology, and it's a dangerous game, but the convenience way up of playing this dangerous digital game is totally worth it.
Yeah.
Because the consistency is so much better than turning up and just using kind of whatever's provided. So these days we travel with everything.
Yes. Well, you'll learn, won't you, from those giddy experiences.
Which is a double-edged sword, because you're then responsible for everything.
Right.
So the only thing we're using at the minute is the electricity and the speakers at the end.
Yeah.
But everything in between the band and what you're hearing up until the speakers is all ours, and it's scary, but it's worth it. The payoffs.
So, tell me, I'm going to go grab another beer. I'm onto my own beers now, Dave. You won't believe it.
Won't believe it.
I'm an absolute scan. What I was going to ask is, now I know this is going to change depending on where you are, what time you get there and stuff, but what's like your typical itinerary look like when you get at a venue? Like, what time you sort of sound checking?
I like that. That's good.
And I want to know. I want to know what happens behind the curtains.
I was trying to think if I could pull one up.
You got it on your calendar?
Well, so...
Do you have a shared calendar so everyone knows what the crack is?
Well, so we use an app.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Holy fucking
So this is
moly.
pretty common. There's an app. You can all get it in the App Store.
Yeah.
Called... It'll be useless.
I'm an Android man now.
You could get it in your whatever.
Yeah, your poverty store.
But basically, it's called Master Tour.
I like it.
And it's a touring app. It's like a subscription service.
Okay, you have to pay.
You have to pay. But what it entails is, so for instance, on here, I have Menzingers 2018 fall headliner, After the Party European headliner tour, August European festivals, July 2017 Frank Turner 2018, July boat show, brewery tour, Offspring Sublime tour, and within that, there'll be.
Are they going out with the Offspring again?
No, we did that. That was a strange tour.
I went to that one at the Apollo.
So in the States, we did a full run with them.
Right.
And here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So there's Menzingers, Offspring, and Sublime. What's the order? In the States. Full
in
US
the States?
Run. Yeah, full US run.
Menzingers, Sublime, Offspring.
Right, so turns out
Yeah.
Sublime are fucking massive in States.
Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sublime as Sublime, you know, Bradley, like, you know, that's, but I thought...
It's Sublime with Ron, granted.
I'd never seen them, so I don't want to take the piss, but, and it's, I wouldn't call it a tribute act, but I wouldn't consider it to be massive, you know? I don't know.
So, their hometown gig, which was their Southern California
Long
gig,
Beach or something.
Yeah, the like, you know, the closest to that, I think the capacity was 22,500.
Jesus.
Whereas in the UK, they play similar sized venues to Menzing.
No, I'm going to have to go see them when they come round again then, because they must be fucking shit hot. But
they're good. They're really good.
Well, I've never heard this guy. I mean,
he's really good.
I bet he's got to be, because Bradley's great. Fucking...
Yeah. And we met a couple of people on that tour, and from what we can gather, he's like a family friend and everything's kosher.
Yeah.
And everyone knows everyone, kind of thing.
Have they wrote anything new?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, so that's interesting, because that's why, if I was going to be mean and call them a tribute act, that's because they're not writing anything new, but if they're writing stuff new, then maybe it's legit. Fair enough.
So, considering we're so close to home, we'll go with... Oh, wait, no.
Is this Tour Master?
This is Master Tour.
Master Tour.
So, for instance, this is our London show.
Okay.
12, midday, is venue access.
Okay.
Basically means the venue's open. The back door's open.
Yeah.
So that the crew can go in, have a shower.
Yeah, very nice.
Get something to eat, maybe.
Yeah.
If the rider's there already.
Yeah.
Get some coffee, maybe.
Nice,
and then,
nice rider on Friday, wasn't it?
Very nice.
Yeah, good. Enjoyed that.
And then... And then kind of, so 12 till 2 is venue access.
Yeah.
And before that, and say maybe a half hour before 2, the people that you're going to need to know from the venue are going to start filtering in.
Yeah.
So you might meet the production manager, you might meet the sound guys,
you
might meet the stage manager, who you need to get on their right side.
Stage manager?
Yeah.
Wow, what do they do? Just tell people when to go on?
They're basically coordinating everything throughout the night, which in the punk rock world isn't that much.
No.
But when you're talking about about.
I don't know, if it was Lady Gaga with
Exactly.
costume changes, then it'd be a
Exactly.
big deal, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So there are, these size venues. So we're talking like 1,500 to 2,000.
Yeah.
These size venues have a lot of that stuff going on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They've got Adele and they've got Sam Smith on the way up.
Yeah.
And they need to have everything in place.
Yeah.
And they also have, this is the other side of it, they also have the other big bands coming down. So you need to have all these, you need to have a hospitality manager.
Yeah.
So when they say, I need a bucket of ice, that it's there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you'll meet all these people.
Yeah, wowzers.
So 2 would be our loading.
Yeah.
So 2 p.m. I'm loading in.
Yeah.
Which at this point is a lot of gear.
Yeah.
And then me and the rest of the crew are setting everything up.
Yeah.
And then about 90 minutes later, so they say this is 3:30, the band can basically walk onto the stage and do a half an hour sound check.
That early?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So
half an hour is all you need really at these places.
So from loading it'll be typically 90 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes to 2 hours of setting up.
Yeah.
And then the band can walk out half an hour easy. And we could have it done in quicker.
Yeah.
But it's basically you're going through all the channels, you're going through all the equipment, and then they're kind of practicing what they might want to switch up in the set or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything that feels rusty. And then from 4 till 6, there'd be support bands loading in, sound checking.
Okay.
And then we always try and build in like an hour of like buffer time.
Yeah.
So if something's going wrong or something's going right, you can have an hour between like 6 and 7. Say doors are at 7. You have like a buffer of hour time.
Yeah.
So like a big thing is the local crew having some kind of break because they've been there since 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've just been on them all day to help you facilitating your gig.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times the venue won't build in like a break for them, and there's days where they're there from 2, and then at doors they just have to stay there.
Right. You'll know some of these guys really now just from going around a few times.
Definitely.
To grease the wheels.
And it always. You got to be nice because you never know when you're coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been venues I'm like, I wouldn't come back here, and 3 times later you're like, oh, good thing I was nice the first time.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, fucking hell. So it's got to be a risk of the fucking bands getting bored, isn't it? Jesus Christ! I mean, if they're done at soundcheck by 3:30, what time are they on? Like 9, 10?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can't, I'm doing a little swigging motion here with my hand that isn't actually holding the can, which is daft. but fucking hell, what do they do with themselves?
So,
read.
There's press.
Press? Alright.
So,
Rock Radio Bitch.
Not Radio Bitch. But there will be Menzingers I'd say they're a medium press band.
Right, okay.
Whereas like every day there'll be a couple of things. A couple of interviews, maybe a photo shoot, maybe,
Cool.
But this is when it happens. So when you read like a Kerrang interview or whatever,
it's in the downtime.
It's either done over the phone.
Yeah.
While they're still in the States.
Yeah.
Or it's done between soundcheck and doors. Frank Turner.
Yeah.
One of the hardest working press people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just fills everything with press.
Yeah.
And the reason he has so much coverage is because when they're like, oh, can we get an interview? He's like,
yeah.
Sound. Whereas I think
you might need to do that to keep yourself busy.
Yeah, definitely. And it pays off at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because that might be, it might be Rock Radio Bitch, or it might be The Guardian,
Yeah, well, similar.
And then once doors are open, it's just to kind of just let the show run.
Yeah.
And for me and the rest of the crew, I feel like no one really switches off until the very, very end of the night.
It must be like, how do I put this? It must be almost a bit blasé when you're on a 10-date tour, 15-date tour, whatever, and you're doing it every night, and every night there's a gig, and every night there's an after a gig, and so you mustn't party every night now anymore. When you're telling us like, you're off to fucking Europe with the Living Daylights, or you're going out and all that, then I mean, we went to Europe the first time the other week. It's like every night it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah,
it's just carnage because you have to. It must be pretty sensible bedtimes now by this point, right?
Some of the last tour, this 2-week festival run, there were nights where it would be 11 o'clock, and I'd be sat there with a brew, just being like, done, just done.
Where'd you sleep?
So these days, now it's tour buses.
Oh wow! Holy moly!
Which is pretty mad having, because I'll get picked up here with all the gear. Not here.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should have seen my face. This is like a tiny little terrace street on Mac, and I'm imagining this fucking tour bus coming through.
I'll have them meet me at my storage unit.
Right.
And so it'll be like a double-decker tour bus
Right.
in Mac, which is mad to think about.
Yeah.
But so, you do get burnt out, and it's funny because we did, on this festival run, we were seeing bands, younger bands, that just have that drive to have those long days and get wasted every night because you don't know when this is going to end. And then, because I think that's what it is that in the early days of it all, you're just like, we've got to embrace it for what it is because when's the next time we're going to do this?
Yeah.
But it turns out, once you realise it's sustainable for at least a few years, then you're like, you don't have to take every chance.
You don't have to fucking go mad at every
Saying that though, there was this one festival recently where I had a brew on the bus about 11, and then you're at a festival day and there's still showers in the backstage, so I was like, I'm going to go take a shower.
This is the high class stuff now, we don't have to worry about showers.
So I'm going back for a shower, and then I swing by the dressing room, and who's there? The drummer and the bassist. And they're just chilling, having beers. And I'm like, I'm going to go back. And the bassist even says, don't get sucked into this. You don't want to get sucked into this. And then about 6 beers later, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's just those three still because, I've still got it in me.
Yeah, you've still got it in you. Well, it's got to be done, hasn't it? Yeah. But I was going to say, like, you can do this forever, like, no pressure. Just wondering.
So, what is interesting, this goes back to Menzingers as well.
Yeah.
They used to be like, well, if Menzingers split up tomorrow, you've all got a job, meaning me and the rest of the crew can basically jump to another band and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you could basically jump from band to band to band until, I don't know, you retire or maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if Menzingers ended tomorrow, I reckon I might just try and switch it up a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to
just do the same again.
Yeah.
That first song off the latest album, they seem to be exploring their own mortality slightly.
Definitely.
Not to be a portent
no,
but they're going over those themes, aren't they, a little bit. But
that, I think a lot of that is the because even though I feel like I reached my wildest dreams, I want to say 6 years ago.
Yeah.
When you're on tour and you're getting a rider and you're getting paid to do what you love, I was like, fucking, I made it.
Yeah.
And then I've just been riding it out since then, basically.
Don't blame me.
And still I'm riding it out now.
Yeah.
No expectations for what's about to come.
Yeah.
But I reckon when you're talking to family members and stuff, you still get the stuff of you still doing that music thing?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a lot of that song is what are you going to do when this? And then, I don't know. But yeah, I reckon I'd like some kind of side gig. I reckon maybe try and get back in the studio world a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's sort of...
But I'm basically riding it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of engineers I talk to that they want to reach stadium level.
Yeah.
They want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like being in a band, it's how big do you want to be? And it's I want to be Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I set my expectations pretty damn low.
Yeah.
I wanted to survive off a job in music, which I've done.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
You're at the type of gigs that when, because obviously when we started out, when however long ago, talking about this, we talk about the Shuffle, Kirkz and all this business, you're doing the sort of gigs that was that's top level.
Yeah.
That's where that's where we need, where if everything goes right or you meet a genie, that's where you end up. So you're doing that level, which is impressive. Do you know what I mean? We were hassling you the other year at Grows Rock. It's the names of the places that you're doing. It's fucking top drawer, isn't it, really?
For instance, MEN. Yeah. Never been to a gig.
Have you not? No. Not even Slipknot? No.
Cricket Ground? Is that the other place to do
Old
gigs?
Trafford,
Yeah, never been.
The other Old Trafford.
The biggest gig I've attended is the Apollo.
Okay.
And in my mind, that was always and now I've done sound at the Apollo.
The Apollo used to be absolutely massive, but then I got a bit older and it's not as big, but it's still big.
Yeah. But that was where I set my sights.
No, that's where my second ever gig was. First ever gig was Main Road, which will haunt me to the rest of my fucking That's in my days. Shithole.
Oh wait, no, tell a lie. I went to see Rolling Stones with my dad.
Did you?
Earlier this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair enough.
That was at London Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
And that was massive.
Yeah, that'll be a fair size.
So yeah, my aspirations were never that high. So when you talk about sustaining this as a career forever, it's just like maybe not. You also the downside to all this is, and it sounds a bit boo-hoo, but like 6 months a year you're not sleeping in your own bed.
Yeah.
6 months a year you're away from like your partner.
Yeah.
6 months a year you're not doing anything at home. You're not seeing mates. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then the other 6 months I just kind of catch up on what I missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's weird because you get jealous of like people's routine, for instance,
right?
Or being like living paycheck to paycheck. It's like I'd love to paycheck.
Yeah.
Like if only. Because there's a lot of the world and a lot of society is catered towards, you know, I don't want to say normal, but normality, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Monthly income, isn't it? So what? Without going into figures, like when you go on a tour, do you get a lump sum in advance? Do you get paid something per gig? How does it work?
In the States, I get a weekly.
Right.
And they like to do it by week. I guess that's more of just the way they run things accountancy-wise.
Yeah.
And then over here, it's basically, in Europe, basically a lump sum at the end.
Right, okay.
And it's only in the past 8 months, basically this year, that I've finally kind of cracked the code to living. What I've done now, after living just like from tour to tour to tour.
Yeah.
Because my cycle used to be, I'd get paid from a tour, and all that would do was write off the debt.
Right.
From when I was last off.
Right.
And then I'd get home from the tour, feel like I was rich, blow it all.
Yeah.
And then just be in this vicious cycle.
Right.
Whereas now, what I'm trying to do is pay myself like a salary.
Right, okay.
So whatever I get just gets put in a pot.
Yeah.
And then I'm just paying what I need to get by.
Yeah.
And also not getting above my means by anything and just getting by.
Well, you splashed out on some new oven gloves the other day.
Did.
I caught you in TK Maxx.
Yeah, TK Maxx, that's good. What else did you get? Ice cube trays. For big ice cubes, because the normal regular ice cubes aren't big enough.
That's not going to do the job, are they?
No, so I've got big ice cubes.
Not going to do the job. I'm going to do a couple of supplemental questions and then wrap up, because of the usual problem that some fuckers got to listen to this 15 times. That's and he's going to need to do 15 mixes. I'm not really going to listen to it 15 times.
What are your stats like at the moment?
What are my stats? Why, you're wondering if you just wasted your time?
No, I was just curious, because I listened to him and I was like, I wonder how many other people listen to him.
I think it's fairly reasonable, but so the highest listened, and that's the Andy Davis one. Go on, Andy.
Yes, that was a great one. I like how he painted a picture of the past.
Yes.
Because he paints it with a nice...
Yeah.
It's not rose tinted glasses, and it's not like, it was all shy when I was growing up. It was like, it was good at the time, and it was what it was.
Yeah.
And now we've got new stuff, and that's good too. But it wasn't.
That's fair enough.
And I like that. It was good. It was being fair, you know.
Yeah. Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me around your house. It's been mint. Let's have a high five for my new microphone.
You can shut the door, but I'll still see. Close my eyes, baby, they know me. I gotta watch that mind that I can't escape. Long says that I have to me, and it means to me that you cannot see.
Oh, yes. That was class insight from Dave, wasn't it? A real peek behind the curtain at what successful bands do. Back to toilets for me and the Kirkz. So this is about the 8th podcast I've done. The first 7 were done under the name Rock Radio Bitch, and they're well worth checking out because the format is essentially the same. Felt name change was in order because I'm sort of past the honeymoon period now, loving it more than ever. But RRB had kind of served its purpose. The first one I did was back in about 1996, obviously recorded in a very different way. It was nice to make that link. But with Bane of My Life, I think we're going to go on from strength to strength. I want to say a big thanks to Swerve for help sorting out the art and getting my web presence, less diabolically shit. Get ready for the stellar names that I've got lined up. I'll catch you real soon. Cheers, bye.
Found start all over again. Replace my